There are countless monsters out there. They appear in books, movies, music, comics, animations, and more. It seems like there's a monster for every fear, every insecurity, every individual. Fear is subjective after all, and what scares one person might be laughable to another. This is what makes universes like those found on the SCP Wiki so fascinating, just the sheer variety of monsters. Sure, there's no one true canon, but everything sort of fits together thanks to the tireless work of everyone involved over there. Looking at the SCP Wiki often inspires people to wonder what other monsters and anomalies might fit in. So today we'll take a look at some fiends from other worlds that might just fit in. Before somebody comes crashing through the ceiling asking about Cabin in the Woods, yes, we're all aware that it's the closest thing we're getting to an SCP movie. Let's just accept that the whole flick could be added to the wiki with little to no changes. Oh, and Siren Head is not an SCP. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're gonna be counting down the top 5 scary monsters that should be SCPs. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more heinous horrors. Perfect, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we've got Kevin Wendel Crumb. Kevin's not a bad guy on his own, but his other 23 personalities place him solidly in the anomaly category. I can see the containment procedures now. Humanoid with dissociative identity disorder, many of which are relatively harmless. Participating in Foundation lockdown as per his own request, some personalities express dissatisfaction with this arrangement. Under no circumstances should any Foundation personnel be left alone with this entity. See, most of Kevin's personas wouldn't be too much trouble if they were left to live in the real world, sure. In fact, I don't even think you could call them anomalous. However, our villain from Split is packing a particularly catastrophic character deep within. If you've seen Shyamalan's Return to Glory, you know that Kevin has all sorts of folks living in his head. Normally, one responsible individual would ensure that the less harmful ones make it to the surface while the more dangerous ones stay inside. However, thanks to the unwavering belief of two of Kevin's personalities in something known as the Beast, a violent identity is unlocked. When the Beast is in control, Kevin gains some superhuman physical abilities. His athleticism is turned up to 10 with the ability to bend metal bars, take bullets no problem, and climb up walls. And the Beast doesn't play well with others either. It's looking to rid the world of impure people and has a bit of a taste for human flesh. An unstable humanoid with the potential for mass destruction would make for a very interesting set of containment procedures. It's kind of like having 682 inside of Kane inside of 507. Coming in at number 4, we've got Dren. Come on, a sci-fi horror human-animal hybrid made in a lab by an overly motherly scientist with a bit of a god complex. It's like it was made for the Foundation. Dren could definitely be contained, but is so unpredictable and manipulative it would probably have to be Euclid. Growing quickly and changing sex post-mortem would add a lot of intrigue too. Maybe there's some room for rapid propagation, which could cause even more problems for the Foundation. Themes and splice just fit so well, it might as well have just happened right within a Foundation site. I bet somebody's written a self-insert tale with similar plot points. For those less familiar with the subversive 2009 horror hit, Dren is the result of two scientists mixing human DNA with that of multiple animals. The experiment itself wasn't ever supposed to happen, as the organization backing the research just wants marketable proteins extracted from a worm-dog thing. Hubris kicks in though, and a human-animal hybrid is born. Dren grows faster than any human ever could and becomes increasingly violent as it matures. Soon it appears as a humanoid with a scorpion tail, webbed feet, black eyes, and 4-fingered hands. Does that sound like she has 4 hands that have fingers? And it's amphibious and has wings. And all in all, it's a pretty crazy creature. Remember when I mentioned hubris about 5 sentences ago? Well, yeah, the two scientists think they can be friends and parents and lovers to this human-animal thing, and stuff gets real messy. Imagine reading logs about the development and growth of this creature, followed by hidden information regarding the unprofessional behavior of supervising scientists, followed by the unfortunate discovery of their bodies. Dren would be an excellent addition to the SCP universe had it not been introduced via an underperforming but well-received movie. Coming in at number 3, we have He Who Walks Beyond the Rose. Now this one's real fun, as there's plenty of potential for all sorts of classic Foundation nonsense. Cognito-hazardous cornfields, an army of brainwashed children, a quasi-omnipotent monster that only reveals itself to its followers, who in turn relay its messages to the world around them. He Who Walks Beyond the Rose is another monster with plenty of log-based world-building potential. Imagine going through the MTF reports and seeing what they saw after being sent in after a couple of ill-prepared researchers. They discover the ledgers with all the biblical named children tracked under their inevitable deaths at the age of 19. finding the remains of adults who found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time, seeing corn stalks move around out of the corner of their eye, but not being able to do anything about it. It could be absolutely wicked. I'm not sure if it'd be Keter or Euclid, considering that it seems to plant itself pretty solidly in Gatlin, Nebraska. The Foundation could set up a perimeter around it and prevent folks from disturbing the little youth-based community. I suppose they'd have to continue to provide the false god with more children attend the corn though. There would probably be some elaborate ritual involved too. You know, those semi-demi-gods obsessed with pageantry. Folks involved would also have to be true believers, as he who walks beyond the rose can see into human hearts. You know what? The more I think about it, the more this sounds like an alternate Scarlet King. Thankfully, it's happy to remain within the corn for now. Coming in at number 2, we've got Videodrome, a rogue broadcast causing brain tumors and crazy tech-based mutations. That is a Keter SCP if I've ever seen one. In Cronenberg's body horror classic, we're introduced to a red room broadcast of sorts thought to be the face of some political movement. Viewing it causes hallucinations at first, in which people begin to fetishize technology and see their own body become more artificial. Soon the hallucinations manifest with people developing strange mutations on their bodies, ranging from VCR players in their chests to odd fleshy guns taking the place of their hands. Videodrome was supposed to be part of mankind's glorious future, according to the man behind it, but it was soon hijacked and used for evil. The real spread began when a TV producer was exposed to it and was convinced to broadcast it to give fatal tumors to people who were obsessed with sex and violence. If given a spot in the SCP universe, I imagine Videodrome would function like Laugh is Fun or Bobble the Clown, appearing on people's TVs and devices without them really knowing what's going on. Over time, they'd become obsessed with the broadcast and seek it out as often as possible, developing strange mutations along the way. Soon, the new fleshers would seek out unaffected people and try to assimilate them or kill them. The Foundation would have to keep a roving mobile task force searching for new cases at pretty much all times. Long live the new flesh, am I right? And finally, at number 1, we've got the Flood. As far as K-class scenarios go, I think maybe only Videodrome could present a major world-altering threat, and even then it would be slow and somewhat controllable. But if we were to introduce the Flood from the Halo universe, humanity would be screwed. We'd be in an alternate universe Sarkic kind of situation, a lovely, deadly upgrade to the flesh that hates. The Flood are space parasites that destroy entire worlds. They can reproduce and grow by taking over sentient life forms, hijacking their bodies and nervous systems. Depending on what they infect, the Flood can take on many different forms. In doing so, they assimilate the memories and intelligence of those they infect, which increases their hive mind's collective intelligence. Halo's lore, the Flood managed to consume most of the galaxy's sentient life forms, resulting in the Halo array being activated. So really and truly, it sort of plays out like Mechane versus Yaldabaoth. You might be thinking, if the Flood is so good at taking over everything, why even bother? We would just be assimilated and then they'd move on. Well, they have to have some sort of weakness or else they'd just be boring world enders. So if the Flood were to be an SCP, I think that it would be interesting to have a small number of Flood organisms make it to Earth, but not enough to form a collective hive mind. That way they could cause crazy infectious outbreaks, but still be manageable by the Foundation. After studying samples the Foundation collects, scientists could discover that once the infection reaches a certain point, they become essentially unstoppable. This and the possibility of more spores reaching Earth make for a terrifying threat. They'd probably have to have some sort of cover story to prevent panic, a la SCP-1000. Flood is like Bigfoot meets Sarkic cults meets the intergalactic dread of the Great Red Spot on Jupiter. Is the Foundation ready for such a threat? I don't think they've got a Master Chief waiting on standby. That was a lot of fun. I gotta tell you, coming up with new applications for some of my favorite monsters is a blast. So what'd you think of the list? Did you agree with my SCP interlopers? What monsters can you think of that would fit right in with all the other anomalies? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more helpful ones from the top 5 scary internet urban legends, part 2. Victor Valdez says, when you say horror heads, I'm just picturing a room full of still conscious severed heads floating in a pool watching classic horror movies. Just dozens of decapitated people in little floating rings that keep them pointed at a screen playing Night of the Living Dead in an Olympic-sized swimming pool filled with blood. Those would be horror heads. How did you find out about my sub-basement? And FYI, it's Dawn of the Dead. Tate Van Cleve says, ridiculous. Babies aren't even that good. It's the 2 to 4-year-olds that are really yummy, dummy. See, but if we're gonna see things from the meth-smoking babysitter's point of view, babies fit in microwaves. Toddlers, not so much. Rose Ryan says, I played Charlie Charlie with a friend and we did the Charlie Charlie Are You There question and it went no. It was quite hilarious. Yeah, it sounds like Charlie just wanted to be left alone. Can't blame him. Dylan Ben says, precious bodily fluids. Purity of essence. Inferno Cast says, first, please shout me out. Unfortunately, you didn't make first. However, I will still provide you with a shout out. It is done. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I have some lovely hemlock tea, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more crossover craziness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.